Well, hello there. Hello, hello, hello. How are we? Can everybody hear me? I think. Oh, hello, Gordon Grant. Nice of you to join us. How are you? Mark Humble's here. Hello, campers. Oh, here we go. Mark Humble's here. Hello, campers. Oh, here we go. And we've muted screen two. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Edinburgh. Has anybody got a Doddie headband on? Look at that. We've gone for the kind of atmospheric dry ice look this week, but I think it suits my complexion. I cut my hair for the occasion. How wonderful to see you all. We've got 33 people. We need some more people. Come on, tell your friends. Tell your friends, get them involved. Oh, David Hamilton, behave yourself. Behave yourself. This is a family show. David Kirk is here. David, Daniel, hello, hello. Michael, Neil, hello. How are you? Are we well? Everybody all stocked up, ready to go? Look at that. Nice, shiny genius. Welcome to the second great rugby genius quiz on the Friday night, coming to you live from the dining room at Happiness is Egg Shaped HQ. Got my Doddie jacket on, got my Doddie t-shirt on, got my Doddie headband on, and there is one other Doddie item. Can you guess what it is? Put it into the chat. Can you guess what else I'm wearing that is Doddie? Oh, Mark Downey, you've got lots of friends. Hello, Eki. Eki Clark, welcome. Timothy Morton, you've nailed it. Doddie big boy pants on. Those are an XL. Those are an XL. But they do come in smaller sizes. Doddie oddball boxers pants. Yeah, you got it. Timothy Morton, you don't get a point for that though. You don't get an extra point for that. We are waiting for more people to join us. We have 45 people. We need some more. Although one of those 45 is telling me he's got 10 friends. Mary Downey has got 10 friends joining on Zoom. That is very impressive. Hello from Dundee. YouTube in Dundee? Is that dial-up or are we on the Wi-Fi? Oh, Genius have arrived. Genius are there. Hello, Jason. Hello, Charlie. Thank you. Do you like my display? I started off quite artistic and I made a pyramid, but then I lost patience and I just stacked them. But we do have the king on top here. We've got the king on top. So that's the genius. That is the sponsor. So we are here last week. Anybody here last week? Genius Brewing, we can't see it. Stop moaning, Jason. I've just, look. Was anybody here last week for TV's own Alex Payne? Alex was very impressive. The man is a professional. Whereas this week, you've got me. But last week you had a professional. Next week you've got the wonderful Jill Douglas. The week after you've got Mr. Scott Hastings, and the week after that we've got another quiz coming in, a Heineken Cup special with Andrew Trimble and Paul Marshall. How good is that? So your Friday nights are sorted. Stay at home, have some fun, have some genius. It's going to be brilliant. Today we've got the 90s. We've got the 90s. Hello, Craig Williams. How are you? Oh, Simon Breeze is in. Now, Simon Breeze gave me stick last week and I was just taking part in the quiz. So I hate to think what he's going to sock to me when I'm hosting. So, Breezy, please be nice. Be nice. Oh, yeah, there you go. You can apologise now. That's all very well. The 90s. The 90s. Do you remember it? I do. And not all the answers are David Soul and Scotland's Grand Slam. Some of them are, but not all of them. And they're not all Tony Stanger. Yeah, I'm promised myself I'm not going to hiccup. I am not going to hiccup. Jay Lovell. Mark Humble, 36 points. Oh, Craig Williams, come on. Be confident, Craig. You've got this. David Bruce was born in 1994. Well, you were supposed to study. You've known about this for a long time. You could have been studying. We are not far away from question 1. But we've got some bits and pieces we need to take care of before then. Oh, Clark, it's all right, Eki, you're in. I can't. I've tried to wipe my camera. It's not. It's the atmosphere. It's very humid here. It's very humid. So we've got some thank yous to do. Firstly, to the men at Genius, to Jason and Charlie for sponsoring. Now, please, please, please get involved, because Genius donate 5p from every can to the Doddie Foundation. So please get involved. You can order it online. Genius Lager, it is magnificent stuff. And 5p from every can goes to Doddie's Foundation. So please, please, please drink responsibly. But if you're going to drink at all, drink with Genius and you're donating money to Doddie. How good is that? There's Robin Carruthers. Serge, behave yourself. There will be, I don't think there's any gala questions, actually. I didn't make the questions. It was a Melrose man that made the questions, Serge. Only 79 calories a can. That's less than an apple. Jason, are you trying to peddle this in front of apples? That's going to take some getting past the Scottish government, I would imagine. Drink Genius instead of having an apple. 79 calories. Does anybody? Yeah, they must pay attention to calories. We're on left-handed as well, because Alex Payne almost got stung. Craig Williams needs calories. Yeah, I don't. Give your teacher a can a day. No, don't do that. That's not going to lead to good things. So thank you to Jason and Charlie from Genius for sponsoring. If you are one of the winners, like our 2 SWATs from last week, the winners were Henry Weeks and Tim Morton. They will soon receive a crate of Genius as soon as the couriers can be bothered to lift it and carry it. That will be winging its way to you. So tonight, be honest, and you're going to put your scores into the chat. And at the end, there will be a bit of scanning to see who we believe. And then there will be some Genius on its way to you next week. If you donate to the PayPal link, which is on the subscription here, and I think Jason and Stu are going to be putting it onto the chat as well, please donate. Last week, Alex Payne got 960 quid. So the challenge I was set earlier by Jason of Genius was, can we break 1,000? So please, there's no buffalo, Mark. There is no buffalo. That is left-handed. Please, 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 if you can donate on the PayPal link, £10 will get you entered into the draw for a 2017 signed Lion shirt from the squad from 2017. Thank you to Andy Brown, who has sourced all the jerseys for the competitions. Top man, great donations, amazing prizes. So please donate on the PayPal link. Minimum of £10, and that gets you an entry into the draw for the Lions jersey. Next week, we've got Jill Douglas. The week after, we've got Scott Hastings. And the week after that, it is the double act of Andrew Trimble and Paul Marshall, who I'm told might be dialing in, might be. So get involved in that draw for £10. £10. And obviously, we are here for the great man himself, Mr. Doddie Weir, who we all love, and most people have a Doddie story. And Doddie is from the borders. He's from just up the road from me. I am from Stow, and Doddie is from a farm at Cortle Ferry, and I've known Doddie for a long, long time. He is a magnificent man. He's always been very good to me. He, as you know, played for Melrose, and then he went across the border to the Falcons. He's won championships for Melrose. He won the championship with the Falcons in the glory days. He played for Scotland. He played for Scotland 61 times. Should have got more. 61 times. And then he went on the British and Irish Lions tour in 1997 to South Africa, where if it wasn't for some big galoot, he surely would have been one of the test starters for the Saturday test against the Springboks, because he was on great form and an absolute star of the Living with the Lions DVD. That's right, Breezy. He was class. I think we can all remember the media training where he was asked, he was seen stumbling out of a nightclub and he said that his dad was on tour with him. So Doddie, an absolute superstar, a cracking rugby player, but also a very, very good man. In 2017, he announced that he had been diagnosed with MND, having known about it for a few months. He knew nothing about it. He did a bit of research and realised that there was very little support for people with MND. So he went about with a lot of his great friends made through this great game and dafties like Stuart Weir, and he put together the foundation with his mates as the board, and they have gone about raising phenomenal amounts of money to try and make life better for anyone who has MND and to try and find some kind of cure. So all of your money that gets donated goes to a very, very good cause. So please get involved. And if you're going to drink, drink Genius, so that 5p of that goes towards Doddie's foundation. So please, please, please get involved. Last week was the 80s, which was tough. It was tough. Oh, Jill and Hoggy are getting impatient. Jill Douglas, behave yourself. You're forgetting, you're following me. I'll be on next week. And Hoggy, take your jacket off. You'll get the benefit when you get outside. So we are going to get started because I'm getting grief from Her Majesty Jill Douglas. So let's get going. If I could remember where I'd put my questions. Are we ready for round one? Let's get some comments here. Are we ready? Could we get Simon Bree? Come on, Breezy, are you ready? Jill's ready. Jane, are you ready? Go, go, go. Right, Breezy, we're on. Eyes down. Ready? Question one. Timothy Morton. Yes. Ready? Question one. This round is the Five Nations in the 90s. Here we go. In 1991, the Five Nations was the fourth occasion after 78, 84, and 1990 in which two teams, each with 3 victories, faced off against each other in the final round of matches. Both were able to complete the Grand Slam. France lost on their 3rd attempt. However, who scored a famous try for France, which was later voted Twickenham's try of the century? Stu Tom, what a way to get to the question. Who scored for France that was voted Twickenham's try of the century? That is a corker. Thanks, Mark Humble, telling Jill to calm down. I'm pleased with that. French try scorer, Twickenham's try of the century. That is worth 1 point. Question 2. Which team became the first team to have 2 players sent off in a Five Nations match in 1992 against England? Surely there can only be one team in the Five Nations. One team got 2 players sent off against England in 1992. Who was it? 1 point. Question 3. This is a corker. Front row club. You ready? The front row union. You ready for this one? All the big lads. England won back-to-back Grand Slam titles in 91 and 92. The same front row played in all 8 of the matches. Name those 3 players. And it is 1 point per, not fatty, front row. That is an absolute belter. England won back-to-back Grand Slams in 91 and 92. The same front row played in all 8 matches. Name those 3 players, and it's 1 point for each. That is an absolute belter of a question. Question 4. Scotland won the Grand Slam at Murrayfield in 1990. Scott Hastings, are you watching? Scott Hastings, give me a message. In 1990 against England, in the winner-takes-all championship. Let me just remember who won that game. And to win the Calcutta Cup. How many other times during the 90s did Scotland beat England to win the Calcutta Cup? So in 1990, Scotland played England for the Grand Slam, but also for the Calcutta Cup. How many times during the 90s did Scotland beat England to win the Calcutta Cup? Were you there in 1990? I was there as a primary 6 schoolboy. Scott Hastings was there, I think. Question 5. This one, I had no idea. Stu Tom, great work on this. Which Irish standoff made his debut v France in 1992, scored all of Ireland's points in their defeat to France, but never got a second cap? That is an absolute stonker. So you get picked to play for Ireland, you score all their points in one game, and you never get another cap. That is a one cap wonder. Irish standoff made his debut v France in 92, scored all Ireland's points in the defeat to France, but never got a second cap. That's a belter. Hey, genius, keep it. Hey, don't you start getting in trouble. Question 6. The 1994 championship was the first time that the Five Nations title was decided by using points difference to separate the top 2 teams that finished equal. 2 teams finished with the same win-loss record, but who won on points difference? So who won the 1994 championship? Who won the championship in 1994 on points difference? So it wasn't shared. We've got 58 people dialed in. Have you all put in a donation? My wife's in the room next door with the kids. I bet she's not donated. Question 7. Who resigned as Ireland coach in 1998 after a series of disappointing results, only to coach England to a World Cup final in 2007, losing to South Africa? Who was the Irish coach who resigned in 1998? It's not a buffalo, Greg. That's my left hand. That is my left hand. Here is my right hand holding my questions. There is no buffalo happening here. Question 8. In 1991, Scotland defeated Wales at home by 32 points to 12. Who scored a full house in that match? Try, penalty, conversion, drop goal. Which Scottish player was that? In 1991, Scotland defeated Wales at home by 32 points to 12, and one player got a full house. A try, a conversion, a penalty, and a drop goal. Who was it? That is a cracker. That is a belter. Hello, Beatrice. Nice to see you. Well, I can't see you, but nice that you're there, Beatrice. Question 9. 2 questions to go in this round. England dominated during the 90s, winning the Grand Slam in 91, 92, and again in 1995. How many times during the 90s did they win the Triple Crown? So they won the Grand Slam for 3 years, but how many times did they win the Triple Crown? That is a corker. Question 10. Last question in round 1. Are we still there? Yeah, we've got 57 people. Oh, lost somebody. 56. What's happened? 10. Which Welsh player helped Scotland win the last ever Five Nations Championships in 1999? If you get that wrong, then you know nothing. Which Welsh player helped Scotland win the last ever Five Nations Championships in 1999? And somebody might be able to tell me if this is true. Did he get given the freedom of Edinburgh? Jill Douglas, do you know that? Or Scotty Hastings? Can you tell me, was that player given the freedom of Edinburgh? Yes, Jill Douglas. Knew you would know that. He was given the freedom of Edinburgh. Well, it's time for a refreshment break. The end of round 1. Jill, you know, fake it till you make it. We'll just say yes. It's a great story. And why let the truth get in the way of a great story? He was given the freedom of Edinburgh. So, round two. We're just getting warm now. We're getting sorted. Alex Payne, he is a master, isn't he? He was just magnificent, and a great selection of knitwear. I'm not sure I can carry that off, but I've got my Doddie jacket. Look, it's my Doddie tie made into my jacket. Roger Hastings, welcome, Roger. Not one of the famous Hastings, but he went from being a back row to a prop. That was a great idea, Roger, wasn't it? You loved that. You loved playing prop. Now, other 90s stuff. Here we go. This is round two. Question 11. In 1992, the value of a try was increased from 4 points to 5 points. Which Scottish player scored the last ever 4-point try during the tour to Australia? Corker. Absolute belter of a question. You're welcome, Roger. You are very, very welcome. Which Scottish player scored the last ever 4-point try in 1992? He was playing for Scotland against Australia. There's no chance Carol Hogg's getting any of these. He will be half-gassed by now, and Jill will be telling him what to do. There is no chance Hoggy's getting that right. Question 12. Which New Zealand player scored the first ever 5-point try in the 1992 Bledisloe Cup match between Australia and New Zealand? Now, it says I have to give you a hint for this one, but I reckon that is a belter. Hoggy should have scored it, but the person didn't pass it to him. I believe that. I believe that. Oh, Jill, you've just given the answer away. What are you playing at? There's prizes up for grabs here. So, who scored the last ever? Who got the first ever 5-point try against Australia? And here's the clue. He played with Doddie at Newcastle. So he was the last player to score first player to score a 5-point try in 1992 in the Bledisloe Cup, Australia, New Zealand. He then played with Doddie at Newcastle. That is a goodie. I like that. Right, question 13. Who am I? I was born in Jerusalem in 1963. I played 56 times for Ireland, scoring 17 tries and 1 conversion. My debut was against Australia in November 1984, and my last match was against France in the 1995 Rugby World Cup. I played in 3 World Cups, 87, 91, and 95, and in 9 Five Nations Championships, 1985 to 1992. I toured with the 1989 British and Irish Lions in Australia and played my club rugby for Black Rock College. Who is that? Born in Jerusalem, played 56 times for Ireland, British and Irish Lion, and club rugby for Black Rock College. That is a corker, and he was some player. I love that I've got the answers. It just makes my life so easy. Of course it's that guy. Question 14. The Heineken Cup started in the 95-96 season. Who were the first winners? Who won the first Heineken Cup in 1995-96? And I reckon give it another 3 years and it will be the Genius Cup. None of this Heineken nonsense. It should be the Genius Cup, Jason. Get onto it. Get your sponsorship people onto it. Well, if you don't get 15, I bet he's watching just to see if he is the answer to a question. Bath managed to become the first British side to lift the Heineken Cup trophy in 1997. Who captained the side? Yeah, I bet he's watching. He'll not put it on the chat, but I bet he's watching because he'll want to know if he is the answer to a question. Bath managed to become the first British side to lift the Heineken Cup trophy in 1997. Who captained the side? Question 16. Who played for New Zealand at under-21 level in 1989 and would return to New Zealand 4 years later and make his debut for the British and Irish Lions in the second test against New Zealand in 1993? He was going to be Pine Tree Mead's protege. Who played for the New Zealand under-21s in 1989 and would return to New Zealand 4 years later and make his debut for the British and Irish Lions in the second test against New Zealand in 1993? Some player. Question 17. Who were the winners of the first Rugby World Cup sevens in 1993 that was played at Murrayfield? Were you there? Were you there? I think we all remember that one, don't we? I think there must have been some players watching. It can't Ricky Flutie. It can't be Ricky Flutie. Andrew, come on, man. No. Ricky Flutie's just a young pup. Campo getting smoked. I could read so much into that, Jason. Question 17. That was who were the winners of the very first Rugby World Cup sevens played at Murrayfield in 1993. Question 18. Coached by Rob Andrew and spearheaded by Johnny Wilkinson, who edged past Bath on the final day to win the first ever Premiership title in England in 1997. Coached by Rob Andrew, led by Johnny Wilkinson, who beat Bath on the final day to win the first ever Premiership in 1997. Question 19. Wales had the misfortune of winning the wooden spoon in 1990, the first time for 23 years. Who was their captain? Who was the Welsh captain in 1990 when they were awarded the wooden spoon in the Five Nations? Just read about him recently as well. Seems like a very top man and good friends with the Hastings, I think. Question 20. Who was the first team to play South Africa in 1992 at the end of apartheid and welcoming South Africa and the Springboks back to World Rugby? Who was that? Who was the first country to play South Africa in 1992 at the end of apartheid? And that is the end of round 2. We have reached half time. Maximum score, 22. So the best you can get in the first 2 rounds is 22. Now we're at half time. So recharge. That is a fresh point, Roger. Daniel, yeah, Stu Tom. If you've got 22. That is, you can pretend that you're your son, logging in as your son. Yes, we're doing the answers next, Jason. Just calm yourself. So we're going to do the answers, and then you can disappear and recharge your glass, or you can go and do what you need to do at halftime. Here we go. Ready? Question 1. 5 Nations in the 90s. Who scored the French try that was voted Twickenham's try of the century? It was, of course, Philippe Saint-André. So French winger Philippe Saint-André scored. So that is 1 point. Round 1, question 1. Which team became the first team to get 2 players sent off in a 5 Nations match in 1992? It was, of course, and could only be France. A bit of Gaelic. Craig Williams has got 5. A bit of Gaelic hint to the first 2 questions. Now, this one is a belter. I want to know in the chat who got all 3 of these. England won back-to-back Grand Slam titles in 91 and 92. The same front row played in all 8 matches. Name the 3 players. So we had Jason Leonard, Brian Moore, and Jeff Probyn. Did you get all 3? Moore, Leonard. Yeah, well done, Ava. Nice. Oh, Breezy, who did you put? You got two of them. Who did you put? Victor Ubugu. So it was Jason Leonard, Brian Moore, and Jeff Probin. Timothy Morton. Yeah, you are on fire. You are on fire. Dougie, Tom, happy with that. Simon Breed, yeah, you missed Probin. So here we go. Number 4, Scotland won the Grand Slam in 1990 against England. Winner takes all championship, Calcutta Cup. How many other times during the 90s did Scotland beat England? Nil point. Never. We had to wait until 2000 to beat them in the final match. Remember that one? It took us a while. So, 0. Question 4, 0. Question 5. Irish standoff, makes his debut, scores all their points, never gets to play again. Derek McAleese. Tim Morton, if you've got that, then I reckon Stu Tom's shipping you the questions before this. Derek McAleese, question 5. Question 6, 1994 was the first time that the Five Nations was decided by points difference. Who won it? Wales won. England needed 16 points of victory over Wales to win it, and they didn't. So Wales was the answer there. Wales. Question 7. Who resigned as Ireland coach in 1998, but then went on to coach England to the World Cup final in 2007? It was, of course, Brian Ashton. Brian Ashton, number 7 for 1 point. Question 8 was one of Doddie's pals, and Hoggy, you must get this one. In 1991, Scotland beat Wales by 32 points to 12, and one player got a try, a conversion, a penalty, and a drop goal. It was, of course, Craig Chick Chalmers. So Chick for 1 point. Number 8, Craig Chalmers. Question 9, England dominated the 90s. They won the Grand Slam for 3 years, but how many times did they win the Triple Crown? The answer was 6. 91, 92, 95, 98, yeah, got it. 6 times. That's worth 1 mark. Question 10. Welsh player helped Scotland win the last ever Five Nations Championships in 1999. It was, of course, Big Scotty Gibbs. Boom, step, gone. Try time at Wembley. So Scotland handed the Five Nations Championships at Wembley. Magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. That's the end of round 1. What did you get? What did you get in round 1? We're going straight on to the answers for round 2. Please make sure you donate. The PayPal link is on the Genius Facebook page. It should also be on the page for you watching this. £10 gets you entered into the British Lions jersey, and if you are one of the top scorers in the quiz, you'll get a crate of Genius. Round 2, here we go. Number 11, question 11. In 1992, the value of a try went from 4 to 5. Who was the last player to score a 4-point try? It was David Soul. And that was his last game for Scotland. It was 44th game, and he scored the last 4-point try. There's something quite magnificent about that, isn't there? David Soul was the answer. Which New Zealand player scored the first 5-point try in the Australia-New Zealand game? And he played with Doddie at Newcastle. It was Inga the Winger. It was Inga Twingamala. He was a brute, probably a wee lad by today's standards, but at the time he was massive. Question 3 in round 2. Who am I? Born in Jerusalem, played 50 times for Ireland, scored British Blackrock College. It was Brendan Mullen, Irish sensation, legend, Brendan Mullen. That gets you 1 point. Question 14. The first winners of the Heineken Cup were Toulouse. Toulouse for 1 mark. Question 15. Bath managed to become the first British side to lift the Heineken Cup in 1997. Who captained the side? I think we know he'll be watching. He will be on here. It is Andy Nicol, one of Dundee's finest ever exports. Andy Nicol was the Bath captain, who played for New Zealand under-21s in 1989 and then played for the British Lions against New Zealand in 1993. He was Pine Tree Meads was trying to get him to be a Kiwi. It was Martin Johnson, future England and British Lions captain, Martin Johnson. Who were the winners of the first Rugby World Cup sevens at Murrayfield in 1993 and Andrew Harriman inspired England? England, the answer. Rob Andrew and Johnny Wilkinson beat Bath on the last day in 1997 to win the first premiership with, of course, Doddie's Newcastle. Newcastle Falcons was the answer. Wales had the misfortune of winning the Wooden Spoon in 1990, the first one for 23 years. Who was the captain? It was Robert Jones. Magnificent scrum half, Robert Jones was the captain, worth 1 mark. And the last question in round 2, before you can go for a pee and recharge your glass. Who was the first team to play South Africa after apartheid ended in 1992? It was the New Zealand All Blacks, who won 27-24 in Johannesburg. So the answer was New Zealand. Let's see your scores out of 22. What have we got? Timothy Morton, you must be Jill. You got 7. 7 out of 22. Come on. Gordon Grant, 6 out of 22. Timothy Morton, 21. What one did you get wrong, Timothy? What did you get wrong? Timothy Morton, I am hugely disappointed. Jane, 5. Mary, 17. Jill Douglas, 18 in total. That's better. Well done, Hoggy. Well done. I'm impressed. Ben Mallet, 15. Serge, 13. Come on, Serge. Too many head knocks. 1969, Alfo, 7. Well done, Craig Williams. See, you didn't have faith and you've got 12. You should be chuffed. No Jane, no phones, no Google, none of that. The Ballymena Fat Boys, 14. How many Ballymena Fat Boys are there? Doogie, how many Ballymena Fat Boys have we got? Oh, the Welsh captain, Timothy, shocker. Shocker. Harriman, the Prince, that's right. Jay Lavelle, 13. Ava, 15. Those are some quality scores. People are happy, Stu. We're moving forward. The 80s was a toughie. My thinking was, well done, Ben Mallet, 10 out of 10 in round 2. Boom! Mark Humble, 17 out of 22. That's impressive, Mark. That is impressive. My thinking with the 80s, if you were a rugby fan in the 80s, you're probably not a YouTuber. You're probably not getting involved in YouTube if you watched rugby in the 80s. But hopefully 90s, yeah, 90s that's the YouTube generation. Although I'm seriously glad there was no social media when I was a lad in the 90s. That might not have ended well. So getting ready for the second half, but lots of reminders, lots of thank yous. Thank you to Jason and Charlie for the genius that arrived this week. That is very much appreciated and helping us get through the stay at home and stay safe and all those kind of things. And it is helping with moving this along at a nice pace. So thank you to that. Thank you to Stuart Tom. I am massively honoured to be asked to do this, following on from TV's own Alex Payne, and then Her Majesty next week, Jill Douglas, who we all love and is our favourite TV presenter. I'm sorry, Alex, but you're a silver medalist at best. Jill Douglas, gold medal. The week after, hero of mine, who I got to throw the ball to sometimes at Watsonians, Mr. Scott Hastings. And then the week after, Andrew Trimble and Paul Marshall to do a Heineken Cup special. So your Friday nights are sorted for May. Friday, staying in is the new going out, isn't it? And quizzes are the way forward. Pub quizzes at home. Genius are telling us it's also on the Facebook page. So if you are interested, £10 on the PayPal account. If you're enjoying it, please donate. The target was to beat Alex Payne. Alex got 960 quid last week. I'm not sure we're going to get there, but everything you donate goes to Doddie's Foundation, and we love the big man very, very much. So please get involved. If you are one of the top point scorers, Timothy Warren's not winning this week, then you will get a Creative Genius delivered, and when you've made your donation on the PayPal link, you will be entered into the British and Irish Lions jersey draw. So one more drink and then we're going to crack on with round 3. Are we ready? Anybody need a little bit more time? Anybody need to, we sorted? We need to hurry up because I need to bring the washing in. So we need to get a move on. Here we go. So the second half, we're going to kick off with the Lions, the 1993 Lions. Question 1, round 3. England and Scotland dominated the number of players in the 1993 squad. That was when Scottish players were allowed to be British Lions, but for some reason we're not allowed to be British Lions anymore. But in 1993, England and Scotland dominated the squad. Name the only Welsh forward selected in the original tour party. Interesting. Now, you can't move for Welsh forwards in the Lions tour party, whereas Scottish Lions are as rare as pandas in Edinburgh Zoo. Next question. The British and Irish Lions in 1993 scored 2 tries in their 3 test matches. Scotty Gibbs scored in the 3rd test, but whose try helped the Lions to a 20-7 win in the 2nd test? So we only got 2. One of them was Big Scotty Gibbs. Who scored the other try for the Lions in the 93 series? This, you got to get this. Everybody gets it. If you don't get this next question, I don't know what we do. Who played for Waikato when they inflicted the Lions' heaviest defeat on the tour and would later coach Ireland and then Wales? Who was playing for Waikato when they beat the Lions and then he went on to coach Ireland and Wales? Next, who played for Otago against the 1993 Lions and then would play and captain Scotland? Who played for Otago against the 93 Lions and then played and captained Scotland? We're smoking here. Who was the Irish player who played in all 3 test matches during the 93 season? Loved him. I wonder where he is now. Stu Tom, do you know where he is now? I bet you do. You've got your finger on the pulse in Ireland. Which Irish player played in all 3 test matches in the 93 series? Next, the backs, Ian Hunter and Scott Hastings. Oh, had to return home after injury. Oh, the Ballymena Fat Boys. We'll ask them and the answers. I'll ask the Ballymena Fat Boys when we get to the answers. Ian Hunter and Scott Hastings had to return home due to injury. Which nation supplied the 2 replacements? So when Ian Hunter and Scotty Hastings had to go home, I bet Scotty went kicking and screaming. Ian Hunter and Scotty Hastings went home. Which country sent the 2 replacements? Hoggy, if you didn't get the next one. Who was the assistant coach on the 97's Lions tour, having previously been head coach in 1983 in the tour to New Zealand? Who was the assistant coach on the 1997 tour, having previously been the head coach on the 1983 tour to New Zealand? Carol Hogg, you got to get that. Next question. His brother was a late replacement. Remember that question from before. His brother was a late replacement on the 93 tour who played prop in all 3 tests in South Africa in 97. So his brother was one of those that replaced. Who played prop in all 3 tests in South Africa in 97? Go for it, Rog. Hurry up. Which South African made his debut in the second test and would go on to play over 100 tests, and he holds the South African record for the most test points. So the Springboks brought in this player for the second test in 97 for his debut. He then went on to play over 100 tests for the Springboks, and he is the record test point scorer. A very handsome man. And last question in this round, Matt Dawson scored 2 of the 3 test tries for the Lions in 97. Gary Teichmann, it's rumoured Gary Teichmann is still looking for Matt Dawson in South Africa. Who scored the other try? Who scored the other test try in 97 for the Lions? Oh, massively. There are many, Stu, many. I saw him once and crumbled. We'll get to that. That's the South African. There must be many people who have all kinds of crushes on him, Stu. Okay, round 4. We ready? We're almost there. Oh, Breezy, you sweetheart. That's because you ripped into me last week and now you're just crawling, Mr. Breeze. I will see you at Inverleith if I ever get another invite to come back. So, here we go. Can you repeat question 4 and 5? Mary, come on, keep up. Question 4 and 5. Right, just for you, Mary. This is just for you. Question 4. So we had the Lions assistant. No, where are we? Question 3 of this round, Mary. Of this round. Where are we going? This way. Mary, you're messing with my mind here. Question 4. Who played for Otago against the 93 Lions and would then play in Captain Scotland? And then who was the Irish player who played in all 3 tests during the 93 series? Now, Mary, keep up, please. Keep up. So, last question in this round. We've done that. So, we're on to the next. Right, Mary, you should be sorted now. Stop your begging. It's not a good look. Okay, round 4, question 1. Here goes. The Living with the Lions documentary, which we've all watched, and it must be time during this spell, it must be time to watch it again. In fact, Jason and Stu, while you're on, Jill, while you're on, let's book out the Dominion in Edinburgh and we'll do a Doddie fundraiser and we'll watch Living with the Lions in the big comfy seats in the Dominion, and we can have heaps and heaps of genius. I am up for that. That would be magnificent. We could get some of the Lions to come. Gregor could come and Doddie. It would be brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Jill. Up here for thinking. Here we go. Living with the Lions documentary included some court session footage. Remember those days? Who was dressed as Ruprecht? Don't you dare say that I am his looky-likey. Who was dressed as Ruprecht? Keith Wood, the judge's brother. Loved it. And when Simon Shaw came in and he couldn't remember that his name was Bruce, and Keith Wood kept going, Bruce, Shawsy. But who was Ruprecht? Who was dressed as Ruprecht? Love it, with a patch over his eye. Anyway, halfback partners Matt Dawson and Gregor Townsend played together in the first 2 tests, but they played club rugby together. What was the club? Who was Dawson and Townsend's club? They supplied quite a few. And I reckon a lot of that, the reason that they got to be British Lions was because of their performance at the Preston Lodge 10s the year before. But that's a whole other story. Next question. Who was on the bench for the first test but replaced the injured Ian Evans for the second and third tests? And his mate is Andrew Brown, who's providing the jersey for the prizes. Who was on the bench for the first test but replaced Ian Evans for the second and third tests in South Africa? Question 4 in round 4. It was only the 3rd time that a touring side had won a test series in South Africa, the others being the 74 Lions, and what other team and what year? This is a 2-pointer. So who was the team, who's the only other team other than the Lions to win a test series in South Africa, and what was the year? And I think it was seen as revenge for the World Cup the year before. So there's a clue. Stu didn't put that in. That's just off the top of the head. That's worth 2 points. Now, the next bit of this, the last few questions, are the 1999 World Cup. Okay? Oh, sorry, Stuart. I'm getting a row off the gaffer. Sorry, Stu. I'll not be allowed back. The 1999 World Cup was the first in the professional era. Who were the host country? Who hosted the 1999 World Cup? That's easy. The format changed. It was 5 pools of 4 teams. Who was the highest ranked third place team that beat Ireland in the playoff stages? So there were 5 pools of 4 teams. So the highest ranked third place team went into a playoff. They beat Ireland in the playoff. Who was it? Second point in question report. Come on, Craig Williams, keep up. So it's a point for the year and a point for the team. So who was the only other team to win a test in South Africa, and in what year? And the hint was, I think it was revenge for the World Cup. Sorted, Craig? Okay, we are now on to who kicked 5 drop goals for South Africa against England in the quarter-final. Boom. He just sat in the pocket and kicked the leather off it. And it was quite an enjoyable thing to watch. Who kicked 5 drop goals for South Africa against England in the quarter-final match? We're almost there. We've only got 3 questions to go. France completed the biggest comeback in World Cup history when they defeated New Zealand in their semi-final. Which French player completed a full house in that match? Try, penalty, conversion, drop goal. Frenchmen, when they came back to beat the All Blacks, the biggest ever comeback in World Cup history, who got try, conversion, penalty, drop goal? Which Frenchman? Second last question. The semi-final between Australia and South Africa went to extra time. Who kicked the winning drop goal for Australia? His first ever drop goal. I wonder if they'd practiced. Semi-final between Aussie and South Africa went to extra time, but who kicked the winning drop goal for Australia? And the last question is worth 3 points, and this is a corker. Well done, Stu Tom. These are great questions. Very, very good. It's amazing what you can find on Wikipedia in your lunch break. Last question. Australia won the tournament for the second time. Which 3 players played in 91 and the 99 finals? That is an absolute corker. So Australia won the World Cup in 91 and 99, and 3 players played in both those finals. You get 1 mark for each of those answers. So your potential second half score is 23, which would give us an overall score of 45. That is a great question. So 3 players for Australia played in 91 and 99 finals. Who were they? 1 point for each. Well. We are almost there. So we need a little bit of thinking time, or are we ready to go? Let's get going. Please remember, get those donations in. So use the PayPal link and get on to the donations. And make sure you give a bit of feedback to Stu Tom so that he lets me do other things too, because I want to beat the Dominion when we watch Living with the Lions. That is a corker of an idea. Okay, here we go. Round 3, answers. Ready? Craig Williams, are you ready? Are you happy? Craig Williams, he's a tough crowd. Simon Breeze, are you still here? Let's go with the answers. So, England and Scotland dominated the 93 Lions squad. Who was the only Welsh forward to be selected? It was Richard Webster. Richard Webster for 1 point. Good lad, Breezy. It's like question of sport with Coisty hosting. Don't ever say that to me again. Don't ever. Roger Hastings. The British and Irish Lions in 93 scored 2 tries in the 3 test matches. Scotty Gibbs scored, but who scored the other one? It was Rory Underwood. Rory Underwood scored. Next question. Who played for Waikato when they inflicted the Lions' heaviest defeat and would later go on to coach Ireland, Wales, and the British Lions? It was, of course, Warren Gatland, who is back at the Chiefs as head coach. Warren Gatland was the answer. Who played for Otago against the 93 Lions and then would play and captain Scotland? It was John Leslie, not the one that was on Blue Peter, the one whose brother was Marty Leslie. So John was the centre. He played for Otago in 93 and then he went on to play for Scotland. Who was the Irish players played in all 3 tests during the 93 season? It was Nick Popplewell. Now, where's the Ballymena lads? Where's Nick Popplewell now? He was scary good. Nick Popplewell is the answer. Next question. Ian Hunter and Scotty Hastings had to go home. Which nation? So this is the country. Who supplied the 2 replacements? It was Ireland. And it was Vince Cunningham and Richard Wallace. Remember that one, Richard Wallace. The 97 Lions. Who was the assistant coach on the 97 tour and was head coach in 83? It was Carol Hogg. Jim Telfer from Scotland, of course. It was creamy. Who can forget Everest? Who can forget? And looking in the mirror, an honest player. We got to do this. We got to do the Dominion and watch Living with the Lions. Get Creamy there. Get Jim Telfer there. He could give it, and Geach, get them both there, and they could give a team talk to us. His brother was a late replacement on the 93 tour, and he played prop in the 97 tour. 3 tests. It was, of course, Paul Wallace. What a front row, along with Tom Smith. Go on, Tom. Tom Smith and Keith Wood. What a front row. Paul Wallace was the answer. 1 point. Which South African made his debut in the 2nd test and would go on to play over 100 and be top point scorer? It was, of course, the blonde bombshell Percy Montgomery. He played all over the show and mostly at 15, and he kicked the leather off it. Matt Dawson scored 2 of the 3 tries for the 97 Lions. Who scored the other? Kelso's finest with the funny accent, Alan Tate. He dotted down and then the finger was in the air. Alan Tate. Now, this is my favourite question of the whole thing. Well done, Stu. The Living with the Lions documentary, so this is us on to round 4. Living with the Lions documentary included the court session, the footage, who was dressed as Ruprecht with a cork on the end of the fork. As Keith Wood, brother, it was Neil Jenkins. Neil Jenkins, the Welshman, was Ruprecht. Halfback partners Dawson and Townsend played together in the first 2 tests and also played together at club. They played for Northampton. Who was on the bench for the first test but replaced the injured Ian Evans for the 2nd and 3rd tests? It was, of course, John Bentley. Bentos, the star of the Living with the Lions documentary that we're all going to watch at the Dominion. And thank you to his mate and to him, Andrew Brown, for supplying the jersey that is the prize for those people who donate. So thank you to Bentos and to Andy Brown. 3rd time that a touring side had won a test in South Africa, the others being the 74 Lions. And what other team and what year? It was the All Blacks, worth 1 mark, and it was 1996, which was worth 1 mark. And they saw that as a bit of a get you back for the 95 World Cup. So the answer to that was worth 2 marks, New Zealand and 1996. Well done, Timothy. Yes, yes, you're very happy. He's done very well, Timothy. It's great to have you with us, Timothy. World Cup in '99. Where was it? Who was the host? It was Wales. It was Wales. Wales. Bloody big fishes are Wales. The format changed. 5 pools of 4. Who was the highest ranked? Third place team. It was Argentina. Argentina beat Ireland. Who kicked 5 drop goals for South Africa against England in the quarter-final? It was, of course, Yanni de Beer with that immense hairdo. Yanni de Beer just kicked the leather off it. What a player. Silenced the crowd, I would have said. France completed the biggest comeback in World Cup history, but which player completed a full house of a try, a penalty, a conversion, and a drop goal? It was Christophe Lamaison. Oh, I've made a pig's ear of that. It was Christophe Lamaison. We've only got 2 to go. The semi-final between Australia and South Africa went to extra time. Who kicked the winning drop goal for Australia? It was Stephen Larkham. Stephen Larkham kicked the drop goal to win it. Who's a decent after-dinner speaker? Roger, me? Oh, shucks. Thank you. And Australia won the tournament for the second time in '99. Which 3 players played in both '91 and '99? This is worth 1 point each. Great question. Cracking question. It was, of course, Jason Little in the centre. Timmy Horan at 12. He was class. Absolute class. Timmy Horan and nobody. John Eales. Jason Little, Timmy Horan, and John Eales played in '91 and '99. They were worth 1 mark each. Right, that was out of 23, which gives us a total of 45. Comment, please. What have we got? Nobody. Yeah, I know. I love that. Nobody's perfect, and he is perfect. 32. Ava Laird. Good effort. Is anybody going to beat 32? Anybody have a crack at that? Jill Douglas, 34. Yes. Stuart Tom. 16. Well done. 1969 Alpho. Mary Downey, 35. Luckily, I went over those questions again, Mary. Gordon Grant. Gordon Grant. I always had you pegged as quite a bright lad. Typical referee. Jane. That's right. So Jane on Twitter this afternoon was crawling and had a picture of Doddie's book, and the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation gave her an extra 10 marks. So well done, Jane. You've got 17. Serge, 26. Ben Mallet, 24. Roger don't. That's harsh. Mark Humble, 33. Fraser Lusty, 20. Fraser, really? That's because you spent too much time at Tynecastle. You need to spend more time at Murrayfield. Thank you, Ms. Cahill. I'm Cahill. Great crack. Thank you. Michael Neal, 27. Craig Williams, 10. 22 total. Thank you. Roger Hastings, boom. Go on, Doddie. But my favourite Doddie book, my favourite one has got to be this. Have you seen this? If you've not got this, get it. It's an absolute cracker. And you got to love Doddie. One of the best things I heard him say was, let's have a beer, and if tomorrow doesn't come, at least you had a beer, and if it does, well, at least you had a very good night, and I hope you've had a very good night. Timothy Morton, 40. This, I would say stay at home, but I think you need to get out. Timothy Morton, you are magnificent. Now, Timothy, is it true that you played with Doddie at Newcastle? I heard a rumour that Timothy Morton played there. Thank you, Tracy. Donation made. Tracy, you're my favourite because you're the only one who has told us that there's a donation made. So, Tracy, I'm giving you 5 bonus points. Eki, 24. Roger Hastings, 25. Thank you, Stu Tom. He's the gaffer. He's the guy. If he's happy, I'm happy. Jason and Charlie from Genius, are you happy? You've gone quiet. Jason and Charlie do a huge amount for the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation. They have hosted events. I was at one at Creef Hydro, and it was great. I got a phone call from John Davidson yesterday. John Davidson is another great supporter of the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation. He is a madman. He rowed across the Atlantic single-handedly. Bonkers. But considering all the other stuff he's done in his life, that was a breeze. So he was on the phone and we were talking about the My Name'5 Doddie Foundation and the great work that they do. So if you can, before I sign off, can you please make a donation on PayPal? You've had just about an hour, hopefully, of entertainment. Hopefully it was worth a tenner. Can you stick the tenner into the PayPal? You'll be entered into the draw for the British and Irish Lions 2017 signed shirt. It's worth a crack, isn't it? And £10, I know it's a lot of money, but it will go a very long way. So if you're able to, please, please, please make a donation. And if you're going to buy a beer, buy Genius, because 5p of every can goes to Doddie's Foundation. Gordon Grant, thank you. Good man. Yes, yes, Tracy. Stu Tom will definitely give you more bonus points. Donations made from Mary and the Zoom gang. Thank you, Mary, and everybody on Zoom. Thank you, Timothy. You're an absolute star. Well done. I'm Cahill. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, it is time for you to let me out of your living room. All that is left is a big thank you to Stuart Tom, who put all the questions and put all this together. Very well done. Rob, for the IT support. I know you're watching. Thank you. It worked. It worked. Who knew that an imbecile like me could get to work? So thank you to Rob for your help. To Andy for the donation of the shirt, thank you very much. And to all of you for tuning in. I did have visions of me just talking to myself, so I'm so glad that you came along. Charlie and Jason, thank you at Genius. I say cheers to you. Folks, have a wonderful weekend. Stay home, stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you next Friday for Jill Douglas. And Hoggy will be her glamorous assistant. So hopefully we'll get to see Hoggy on the screen next week too. Folks, be safe, be good, and make some donations to Doddie. All the very best. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. I am absolutely delighted it is now over. Cheers.